Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Go Comedy. It's now time for Let's Just Say. Please welcome your host, Avery O'Brien!
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Let's Just Say, Go Comedy's monthly storytelling night. How's everyone feeling right now? Good? Nice. So happy you're all here. So by a show of hands, how many people have been to a storytelling night like this before? Okay, so like half of you. So what you're going to see tonight, it's very simple. A bunch of storytellers to my right, they're all going to come up on stage one by one, and they're going to tell you a true story from their life. And just because we're in Go Comedy doesn't mean this is going to necessarily be a humorous story. It could be a heartfelt story, it could be a sad story, and it very well could be a funny story as well. And the only thing these stories are going to have in common is they are all inspired by the theme, and this month the theme is Force of Nature. Now, I come up with all of these, and this one I feel is, sometimes you come up with them and you're like, oh, I kind of know what every story is going to be. This one I feel like is pretty open to interpretation. So I'm excited for you all to hear what people decide to do with it. To start things off, I'm going to tell you my own story, and my story takes place on August 21st, 2017. And there was a very significant force of nature that day known as the solar eclipse, which you may all remember because it was pretty recent. And I was not super invested in watching the eclipse or anything, but I did happen to have a pair of those eclipse glasses in my purse because a coworker of mine had gone and gotten a pair for everyone. So I had them in my purse, but I actually I had a doctor's appointment scheduled right when the eclipse was happening because I wasn't paying attention. And as I'm driving there, it's starting to get that like trippy, like flat, it doesn't look like night, it just looks like its own weird thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool, like, what was I thinking? And so I get to the doctor's office and I'm like, oh, I want to go back outside. And so like right when they're supposed to be calling me, I run back outside and I remember I have the glasses. And I'm standing there just like in front of the doors of my doctor's office watching the eclipse. And so everyone who's coming in from the parking lot and everyone who's leaving is like crossing my path. And like every single person is like, can I use your glasses for a second? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then there's like an MRI trailer like across the parking lot. So like doctors and nurses are coming back to you and everyone stops. Like no one's doing their job or anything. Like everyone, it just turns into this like cute little like party that lasts for like 5 minutes. And it was kind of a really special moment because I've gone to that doctor's office for years and I've never talked to anyone there. Like everyone's just like usually like huddled in like as far away from everyone else as possible, and like Judge Judy is like yelling at everyone from the TV or something even worse. And so this was a really special little thing. And then people kept being like, can I give you like $1 for the glasses? I'm like, no. And then a nurse was like, well, we're not going to charge her for her appointment. And I was like, okay. And so then I go in, and it was just like a prescription refill appointment. So I go in, and I come back out, and then that same nurse is standing at the reception desk, and she's like, you're all set. And I was like, oh, okay. And I like kind of like run before she can change her mind. I'm like, okay, so then I walk out into like everything looks normal again. And I'm like, okay, this is amazing. Like, who gets like a medical fee waived? Like, what planet am I on right now? And like, I am like up here, you guys. And so I was like, okay. And oh, by the way, it was only a matter of $60, but I am really just still so excited. So I was like, all right, so I have like $60 in my pocket, and I should probably do something with it. And I was like, what should I do? And like, I wish I came up with something more exciting than this, but I was just like, I should really go buy that Planet Fitness membership that I've been meaning to buy. I wish I thought of something more exciting. But so I drove to the Planet Fitness that's just a mile away from here, the one in the parking lot with the 8 Mile Mile and Five Below and Petco. And I'm walking up to Planet Fitness, and my like heart is pure about getting this gym membership. And then like 10 steps away, I just turn to the right, and instead I buy birds at Petco. And like, like a borderline crazy person about them. Like the crazy border's right here. And like I'm on this side today, but who knows? And I like wanted to share with you how much they mean to me, but I told myself to like just keep to like 10 seconds for like everyone's sake. So they are just these little these like puff balls of like cheer and whimsy that are singing when I wake up, and it's like being a princess. And then when I'm drinking coffee, they're like flying around, and then they love singing, and then sometimes they land on my floor and they like run around like these like tiny harmless velociraptors across my apartment. So I really love that. And it just like blows my mind that like it took me this long because I've always liked birds and I had them when I was a kid, so like I've been kind of meaning to get them for like a decade. And it like blows my mind that I waited so long, and also that it was just like this weird sequence of events that started with the eclipse that made me buy them. Quick epilogue to this story is, so 6 months passed, I have to go back to the doctors for another checkup, and so this is this past February, and the first thing that happens when I walk in is the receptionist is like, hey, did you know you have a $60 balance? So what I actually did that day was just run out of the waiting room before paying the bill. But I'm so glad that I stupidly thought I got a free doctor's appointment, because I wouldn't have bought these things that have made me happy like every day since. So that's my story. They were in the room when I was writing this, and I told them, and I think they get it. I think they know what's happening. So, do you guys want to hear our first storyteller tonight? All right. This first storyteller, he is a comedian. He's also the co-author of the memoir "Pray the Gay Away." Please welcome Michael Zakar.
Well, this theme was really hard for me to think about because I never thought of myself as a force of nature. Just growing up, I was just very shy and weak, and the only ones I could look up to were like Sailor Moon and like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah, so like, I was the only Arabic kid in my school, so I was a social outcast. So I never got to be that force of nature that I saw my mom was. But when I came out when I was 16, I kind of got over being shy. I got over that, like, I was just pretty much over it. So I wanted to become the force of nature that I saw Sailor Moon was, or that I saw like Uma Thurman and Kill Bill. So somehow I got involved with stealing. There was a void for me, so stealing kind of took a void of like empowerment. I was like, no one needs this, it's mine today. And I was like that force of nature. And so it started when I was 16, when I was first coming out, and I was working at a bookstore. And I saw it. It was like the Sword of Xavier. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But like I saw a pen, a big pen. And I grabbed it and I stole it from my job. And that's what kind of started my journey. And then I started quitting and getting new jobs every week. So I was like a swim instructor, I was a rock climbing assistant, I was a janitor, I worked for Monster Energy, Red Bull. I kept going and entering jobs just so I could steal. And I would walk out with more than $4,000 worth of stuff. And I was growing very, very confident, very confident. And here's what happened. I walked into Kmart, my like #1 stealing spree. I was actually shopping for my mom's birthday. Because I'm like Robin Hood, I stole for a good reason. And it was her birthday, so I was like, okay, I don't want to buy anything, so let me just grab something. And even though I'm gay, I don't know anything about makeup, so I just stole more than 7 different kinds of foundations and lipsticks, because I was like, I don't like this. And then I wanted to steal her little watch to be like nice. So I went to the jewelry counter, and I know you're thinking like, Kmart actually has nice jewelry. I did like a double thing where I was waiting for her to pull up the jewelry. I was like, can I see all 7 watches? And then once she was distracted, the jewelry assistant, I pretty much swiped the watch and I walked away. And I thought I was so sneaky. So I was obviously wearing a trench coat in the middle of summer. I was in the shoe aisle and I was like looking, and I pulled up a shoe and I let the watch slide back into my coat, and I was like, damn, I'm good. So I thought I was pretty tricky, and I walked out of Kmart, and no buzzers, and I'm like, cool, we're good, we're good. And then a voice comes from behind me and says, sir, give me back everything you just stole. And I look behind me, and it's someone I graduated high school with. And, well, you know what's worse? They didn't know who I was. And I was like, okay, I guess I was that unpopular. And I give him back all of his stuff, and then his manager comes out and says, the police are coming. And I look back, and of course, it's someone else I graduated high school with. And my name is Michael, and she's like, Zach? That's my twin brother Zach right there. So I was so unpopular, I got mistaken for my brother when I was stealing my shop. Yeah. So I fled the scene because I did not know fleeing a scene was a thing. They wrote down my license plate number, and I went home, and I just had the weird feeling that, you know what, like, my force of nature stops right here. Like, my confidence is going downhill real fast. And I look outside, and there's 3 cop cars in my driveway. And I'm like, fuck. And like, so I like hide, and then I like run back out to the other window to see, and all 3 cop cars are gone. And I'm like, okay, this is like an omen. So I knew I was getting arrested. And I pretty much, like a gay scene in like a teen movie, I wanted to look good for my mugshot. So I pretty much had every outfit in my closet, and I picked the worst outfit. And so I look out my window, and I keep looking back like clockwork, and cop cars just keep passing my house, stop, pass, stop, pass. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be ironic, right? So my mom comes home, and she is like, oh, where are we going for my birthday dinner? And I look out the window, and the 4 cop cars are now parked and coming towards the house. And I'm like, hey mom, by the way, I got caught for shoplifting, and they're coming in the house. And she's like, huh? And then a knock on the door comes on, and she opens it, and she's like, I'm gonna kill you. And they say, hello, is Michael Zakar here? And I'm like, hi. I didn't want to make it more awkward than it already was. I was trying to make it very, like, it was calm, and my mom was like, you can see the vein in her forehead. She's an Arab woman. She was already mad that I came out. And they arrested me on the spot right in front of my mom on her birthday. And I'm getting arrested right in front of her, and I don't put on shoes because I was over it. And me and her are getting a fight about putting on shoes right in front of the 3 cops. So I'm like, mom, it's fine, put fucking sandals on. So I have to I get arrested, and they tow my car away because it was part of the evidence. And I ended up paying $10,000
Oh my God!
for a $40 watch.
Oh my God!
So I had to go to court, and my mom would not bail me out. Because so she was like, you stay there and you learn a lesson because God is going to tell you something. And I was like, you know, I probably wasn't Uma Thurman. And so I get my mugshot taken, I go to court, and luckily the girl in front of me gets in a fight with the judge about her boyfriend, and I pretend, I revert back to my meek self because it was just something easy for me. It's like, Michael's car, and I'm like, yes. He's like, speak in the microphone, I'm like, yes. And it was my first time offense, so they let me off with a $10,000. That was easy for them because I was supposed to get probation for a year, but I did not. And after that experience, my mom said, it's not bad enough that you're a thief, you're a gay thief. So, but that moment, it made me kind of proud because I was just over everything, and it made me proud to be that force of nature that I learned and grew from. And after stealing, I don't do it anymore, so you should watch your purses. But I found out my true confidence was after I came out, and with the stealing, which is void. And that's my story.
Exactly. I think I forgot to tell you guys also that there's a time limit for these stories, and that was just beautiful. And if anyone once someone hits the 7-minute mark, you're going to hear a little harmonica noise. So just a heads up on that. Our next storyteller is a writer, music lover, and traveler. Please welcome Karen Lupian Parrish.
was 1995. I was 17 years old. It was a very, very sunny but very windy and wintry day. I had recently moved from Romeo, Michigan to Rochester, Michigan, and I had a dentist appointment in Romeo, so I was on my way there. And before I continue, I'm guessing somebody is wondering if I knew Kid Rock, because my entire life, well, not my entire life, but someone must have. I did not know Kid Rock. My sister knew him though, and was like best friends with his sister. So I'm driving in my 1988 Pontiac Sunbird. It's black. My first car. No Bluetooth, obviously. No CD player, just a cassette player that my music obsessed self always used. Back then, I was probably listening to The Cure, The Cranberries, Radiohead. And then there was like a Clueless movie soundtrack. Does anyone remember that? It was so good. But this day, I was listening to a cover CD I had seen. It was Thank You by Duran Duran. And it was just all these covers of like Led Zeppelin, Elvis Costello, like all these artists. But my favorite one was Perfect Day by Lou Reed. And I know that it's like nothing close to the original, but I loved it. And I would like rewind over and over and over. So that day, the sun is shining. I think I had the windows down. I don't know why, it's the dead of winter. But I just felt so carefree. Like I'm driving down 32 Mile on my way to Romeo. There's sun. There's glistening on the snow. There's like huge yards. And then all of a sudden, this huge gust of wind just blows my car to the side of the road. Next thing I know, I'm on like a malfunctioning tilt-a-whirl ride. I'm headed down a slope. There's a house in front of me. My car is spinning. It's seriously like a nightmare. I don't even know. And then my car like hits something on the side. I just hear like this like dragging sound. And then my car just comes to a stop. And I was like, what was that? So I look. I'm in someone's yard. I had uprooted a pine tree. Literally with my car, uprooted a pine tree. Fuck! Like, seriously! I'm sitting there, I'm 17 years old. I don't have a cell phone. It's 1995. Like, did anyone have a cell phone? I don't know. So I sit there, like, are my parents gonna be mad? Like, is this happening? Like, is my car okay? I just don't know. So I'm just, like, sitting there for the longest time. And then finally, I'm like, you know, the best thing for me to do is just drive away. I'm just gonna go to the dentist. I mean, I didn't hit a person. Do hit and run rules apply to trees? I'm not sure. But I think I can do it. So I accelerated and my tires just spin. I mean, obviously, like now I would not never just drive away. I reverse, same thing. They just, spin. Shit, okay. Now what? This is just ridiculous. I have to call someone. My parents are at work. I don't know their numbers. I don't have them memorized. My best friend lives in Romeo, still down the street. So I was like, maybe I can call her. I don't really want to face this person. I'm like really embarrassed. But I go up to their house very slowly. It's like I'm walking to my execution. I mean, this is just something I don't want to do. I ring the doorbell. No one answers. I knock. No one answers. Such a relief. Like, oh wait, it's not a relief at all. I'm stranded in someone's yard still. I can't move. I just don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm looking around. Oh, there's a house way in the distance. Like, it's Romeo. Has anyone ever been there on 32 Mile? There's not, there's a lot of houses, so I decided I'm gonna hike there. I'm wearing like Converse probably, like, not snow appropriate shoes. Knowing me when I'm 17, I wasn't wearing a coat. Probably no gloves, well no, definitely no gloves. So I'm like hiking through the snow, like the wind is just blasting in my face, it's cold. And then I trip. And my already ridiculous incident becomes just a ridiculous comedy, and I just fall in the snow like a fool. So at this point, I'm just maniacally laughing at myself, like, okay, what's gonna happen next? Is this real? Like, this whole thing was like a dream. So I finally get to this person's house, and that is completely a blur. I don't know if it was a man, a woman, I really don't recall, but they let me in and let me use their phone. I called my friend, thank goodness she was home. She said, I will come rescue you with my mom. So the person called the cops. They kicked me out of their house. Well, not like violently, but they told me I couldn't stay in their house. So I was like, okay. So I'm like waiting at the side of the road like a hitchhiker, waiting for my friend. Finally she comes, the cops come, insurance claim gets filed, like police get my parents' information, and somehow I get home, my car gets towed. I never made it to the dentist. I feel bad, I like stood them up, I think. I don't think I called. But I did reschedule, I have been to the dentist. And then a few days later, this man who lived in the house at the tree I hit called my mom all pissed off, asking her to pay for the tree. He was so mad about the tree. Who cares that a teenage girl hit the tree? Is this girl okay? Is she hurt? He didn't care. So that was one of my days, my 365 days in 1995. What a perfect day.
I swear to God, that story was exactly 7 minutes too. You guys like really did. Thank you, Karen. Moving along, please welcome our next storyteller, Josh Steiner.
All right, so 2 years ago, me and two of my buddies decided that we should go hiking in the Picture Rocks because why not? It sounds fun, right? We got 5 days to kill. We're gonna try this whole stay in the woods, straight through thing. It was a pretty good time. We all got to poop in the woods, in the ground for the first time. That was tons of fun in my opinion. I love that part of it. Not so much the hiking, like 12 miles a day. That part was too much. We all kind of just like turned into zombies. But we recovered. So then another day, on day 3 I think it was, we were just hiking along. This was a much more normal day, just pooping, no 12 miles. We come to our camp, and we just, it was a nice camp in the woods. There's trees, leaves. This wonderful hill to the coast. We're by Lake Superior. And we're just setting up for the night, kind of relaxing. Normal night. We all get into our hammocks, go to sleep, and then I have a sleeping problem where like I wake up and then I'm instantly awake. Can't go back to sleep. It's terrible. So like at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's just like, oh, time to just fucking stand around and do nothing until everybody else wakes up. So I'm up at like 5 in the morning. We're on the coast. It's May. It's about the same kind of weather it is right now, where it's like, it's hot, it's cold, it's hot, it's cold. And it was a cold day that day. So it's dark and it's wet, and I'm just like, okay, what should I do? I got time to kill because my buddies aren't going to be up for a couple more hours. So I like to build fires because that'll keep me warm, right? So I just start running around, gathering anything I can find on the ground of these forest leaves, twigs, anything. Get it all built up into this nice pile, and I'm just sitting there with like this little lighter, and it's just like, God, I hope this isn't too damp. And I sit there for minutes and minutes, and finally, one leaf catches, one twig catches, and then finally there's something to feel warm, and I'm sitting there warming up, and I don't know, it's still dark enough in the morning, and you just hear like, oh! And then there's just a chain reaction of these howls, just, like 5 or 6 of them, and I'm just sitting by this little campfire, like, what the fuck? Because I I wouldn't say I'm a not dog person, but like, I don't think those are dogs, so like, I don't really want to find out what that is. And I'm just sitting there by this fire, kind of freaking out, like, oh my god, like, do I go look for them? Do I stay by the fire? Do I tell my friends? And I got like this little headlamp thing on, right? So like, I'm just like spinning around the fire, like, maybe this little pocket knife will protect me against these wolves. And I run over to my buddies who are just in their little respective beds, and I'm like, there are things that are making noises, and I think it's like coyotes. And the one, but my one friend who's kind of awake is like, yeah, that's okay. You're in nature, and I'm like, but is it? And my other buddy doesn't even respond. He just doesn't give a shit. He's sleeping like a rock. And I just go back to my fire because it's the only safe option I have. And I just must sit there for like an hour, just freaking out. Like, if I just stay by the fire, if I stay by the fire, maybe if I cover myself in like my shit, like they won't come up and find me. Like an hour later, my buddy gets up and just kind of like casually like wanders up to me, and he's like, "Yeah, what's up, man?" And I'm like, "I don't know. What do you mean, what's up? I could have died, and you just like don't care." And he just like he brings me down, and I mean, I'm alive. Spoilers. The coyotes didn't kill me. Yeah, and then my other buddy doesn't even get up until 10. And he's like, "What the hell was all that noise at like 5 in the morning? What are you doing? I'm trying to sleep." It was quite the trip. We never died. We got to see all the beautiful eagle's nests and deer and everything. But that one day, I was convinced nature was gonna like rip me in half. That's my story.
Our next storyteller is an actor and improviser. Please welcome Jeff Smike.
I'm going to drink water because I'm about it. Good evening, folks. Forces of nature. I'm here to tell you about a tropical storm. The punk-ass poser of extreme storms. Wannabe hurricane bitches. So, my brother, I have one brother, my older brother, 3 years older than me. Love him, very much so. Lollapalooza, 2008 or 9, the one that was like Radiohead, Rage Against the Machine, and Nine Inch Nails, great trio. He introduces me to a new girlfriend of his who the whole night was teasing him about it. How serious is this? How serious is this? Sure you want to do this, dude? And he proceeded to tell me after the entire night of nagging him, probably just to appease me, I guess, and be a brother, stay brother with me. It was like, nah, man, she's just a piece of ass. Just steady ass. Oh yeah, classic guy, right? But of course, that night I was like, yeah. And so I met her, and she was great. She was all right, Flash forward to their engagement. Well, I got to hang out with her in between, don't get me wrong, I got to know her as my sister-in-law. They got engaged in Chicago. That's where actually I met her too. They live in Chicago. They work together at Sara Lee, yada yada. And so they got engaged in Chicago where they first met, and so he makes me his best man and decides that he wants me to go with him to get the engagement ring. And of course I oblige. And so morning of, we're staying at, it's like around, it must be a reason why he's in town, let's say 4th of July or something. And he wants me to get up early, and if anybody you know me, which you don't, I am not a morning person, let alone when my brother has something important to do. So, spent tons of time trying to wake me up, and I kind of casually got up, knew that I had this power over him because his future-to-be wife and my mother were both in the house, and I had this knowledge that I had over him, and it was intoxicating. So I basically, and this is all too, I actually called him earlier today. He's the one who told me this story, so I don't remember this. But teased him all morning, mocked him all morning, just because I had this power. And so we end up like leaving the house. We go to get lunch maybe, but then we go to the diamond place. What thing is like Jim's Diamonds over on like the Service Drive in Woodward over there. And he likes it. He's gonna pay for it that day. So we go to Chase Bank, and he tells me I'm gonna pull out $10,000 in cash and keep the car running. I don't know what the hell he told me, but I stayed in the car for some reason. Obviously, he doesn't want this guy, rolling in there with him when he's about to pull out $10,000. And so I stayed in the car. It's at Chase Bank off of Woodward. I think I got that weird parking lot where you almost like can park facing Woodward. And whatever the hell I was doing in there. Meanwhile, the whole time too, I'm like, "Are you sure you want to do this, dude? Are you sure you want to do this?" Just being an asshole. And he comes back with the 10 grand in an envelope. And that is a very sobering experience. Like, I knew my brother made good money and was wealthy, but never did I know that he could just casually go into Chase Bank and that they would give him $10,000 fucking dollars. That was a watch. It cost him a $40 watch. It's a lot of money. And so even then I was like, you sure you want, let's go to Vegas, do something, whatever. They got engaged, and let's flash forward to the wedding. The wedding was at Amelia Island in Florida, which is like northeast of Jacksonville area, which is where she's from. And that weekend was supposed to be a hurricane that weekend, and everyone's kind of like on heels. When is it gonna hit? Is it gonna hit? What, is it gonna die down? Blah, blah, blah. Well, we get in Thursday. Thursday was fun. Had a boat tour kind of thing. My brother got shit-faced. I myself and his future wife-to-be had to carry him upstairs to sleep. Friday morning, we're supposed to play golf. He proceeds, and he just told me this actually today too, that he was begging his wife not to go on the groomsmen golf outing the next day. That's how hungover he was. And then Friday, I don't know what the hell else we did after golf, a whole lot, party, whatever. Saturday hit, that was, and meanwhile too, this is all beautiful weather. I mean, perfect Florida weather. Saturday comes, beautiful, rehearsal dinner, cool. Got to meet the other fam, hang out with them. All right, I approve. And then Sunday rolled around, and sure as shit, the tropical storm came in. And boy, that was the talk of the entire morning. I felt bad for him, but at the same time, I was like, this is kind of cool. It's kind of memorable, Alanis Morris once said, it's like rain on your wedding day. Bitch, I'm on a tropical storm, right? But then I had to go is it, apparently it's like a thing for the best man to drop off flowers to the bride-to-be while they're doing their salon thing? Well, I did that. That was cool. And the look on her face was that of panic. So to wrap it up all real fast, what was going to be their beach wedding ended up being in the banquet center, not prepared for a wedding, with steel fold-out chairs. It was awful. It was ugly. That night, the reception at this other little place on the island, the power is going in and out the entire night. About 1:30 in the morning, the manager of the hotel comes. A tree has fallen and blocked the only road out of here. So you're all stuck here until we get this giant tree out of the road, which they, eventually did at about 3:30 in the morning. There was old people at his wedding too, and children, which they've all made their little corners of the reception. But yeah, I guess that's the end of it there, really. It's just knowing that, not all love is sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes they're stormy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jeff. I think we have a new verse for ironic right there. So we'll have to send that to her. How's everyone feeling? Still good? So just a quick note, if you're watching this and you're thinking, I might want to do that, you definitely can. Let's just say it's a monthly show. Our next show is on June 14th, and the theme for next month is going to be rebellion. So just keep that in mind if you're interested. Talk to me after the show. We also have a Facebook page you can check out. So, but getting back to the storytellers, our next storyteller is a comedian, storyteller, and tour de force who has a very special talent, which is going on extraordinarily bad dates. She hosts a podcast called Sexistential Crisis, where she liberates men and women from the shackles of propriety and shamelessly talks about sex, dating, and relationships. Please welcome Laura Khalil.
So, as was mentioned, a lot of people have called me a force of nature, but I really prefer to refer to myself as a freak of nature because I have this special skill. In addition to going on terrible dates, I also am involved in these very odd sexual scenarios that are often just kind of fall in my lap, sort of come attract to me like a moth to the flame. This wasn't too weird because I lived in San Francisco, and that's sort of par for the course. But I recently moved out of San Francisco, and I moved about an hour away into this really sleepy suburb called Walnut Creek, California. I had been priced out of San Francisco, and I thought, well, I guess I just gotta move here, start over, we'll figure this out. I had no friends, didn't know what to do. I just ended a relationship, and so, what do? I decided to decorate my apartment. And so every day I was getting these packages in the mail, and things were arriving, and I was waiting for these curtains to, add some zhuzh to the place. Then I checked the UPS thing online, and they'd say, oh, okay, delivery, they're out for delivery. Great. Well, sure enough, I opened my door, and there's a package sitting there. And it kind of looks, like a curtain-like box, if a curtain were to arrive in a box. So I grab it, I take it into the kitchen, rip it open, shove my hand in, and it's sticky. Oh my God. Rip my hand out of the box, threw the box on the counter. What the hell is that? And I just, okay, it's not like an insect. I don't know what it is. And so I carefully just sort of moved the contents out of the box onto the counter. And what I saw was a veritable cornucopia of gay sex toys. We're talking anal beads, butt plugs, ball gags, cock rings, and a 10-inch screwdriver dildo that I assume you were just supposed to shove up your ass and screw in. I don't know how you use that. But these were definitely not my curtains. And I could not figure out who this was for. So obviously, I look at the box, and it's for some, Ricardo so-and-so. I'm like, oh, shit. So I'm like, all right, it says 306. That was my apartment number. I'm thinking, okay, all right, this is really weird because the woman who lived here before me, she was a single Asian woman. And I'm thinking, if this woman is shoving this shit up her ass. It's going into her intestines. Like, there is no way. So, and I don't think it's a gag. I know a lot about sex toys. I know we're talking about several $100s worth of sex toys. So, it's not a joke. And I'm like, all right. So I take the box. The contents are all over the place. They're on the floor, they're on the counter. I take it out into the light because my kitchen is kind of dark. And I realize that in that 6, there's a very little line, and it's actually a 5. It's for my neighbor. Great. Okay. So by this point, one of the 10-inch screwdriver dildos has fallen onto the ground, and I have a dog who thinks it's like the world's best choo-choo wheel. And she has it between her teeth, and she's just running around the house. She is so happy, like, Mommy got me all these toys. And I'm like wrestling it, like away from her, because I want to give the guy his sex toys. But, so I clean everything up, I shove it in the box, which I've destroyed, wrap it up in duct tape, and I'm like, I can't leave this on someone's door. This looks like a fucking bomb. So, and who would trust intentionally use sex toys that arrive at your door? You'll never enjoy them. I'm trying to think of him. So, I do what anyone does in a crisis. I go to the Hallmark store. I'm like, we're gonna fix this. And I go and I find this card with this guy who is completely nude, but he's wearing a leather harness and like black leather underwear. I feel like that's an only in California Hallmark card. I've never seen that outside of the state. And it says, everyone wonders where Kenny puts his pen. Perfect. Okay. I get that. I get a bottle of this wine called Menage a Trois, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna make like a joke. It's like sort of fun, right? Like I'm lighthearted, I'm not uptight about it. And I write in the card, I say, hey, so sorry I opened your box of erotic pleasures. Please enjoy yourself fully. Your new neighbor, Laura. And I take this mangled box and the card and the line, I put it on his door, and I ring the doorbell, and I run. A few hours later, I'm leaving to go somewhere, and a note falls out from my door, and it's from my neighbor. And it is a note written on his official letterhead. His name was not the same name on the box. It was something like, I don't know, Tony Pepperoni or something. He was the most Italian guy you could imagine. And it said, Tony Pepperoni, Esquire. And then the letterhead had angels with glowing horns. I mean, he was definitely gay. All right, and so he had actually typed me a note. And he said, Laura, this was hilarious. These are absolutely not my sex toys. I got a real kick out of this too. I'm gonna deliver it to whoever these belong to in the other building. I get his mail all the time. Alright, okay dude. You do that, Mr. Pepperoni. But actually what ended up happening is it was a wonderful icebreaker to meet this guy and actually become my first friend out in Walnut Creek. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Ooh, I have this person's bio on that other sheet, but I'll just say it. Our next storyteller is a longtime Detroit area music journalist. Please welcome Jeff Milo.
So, thrombocytopenia is what the doctor tells me when I'm alone in the hospital room with, I'm sorry to bring it down, with my mom who's unconscious, hooked up to lots of machinery. My dad's just gone down the hallway to get, I think, his like 5th cup of coffee in 2 hours because he wanted to avoid the doctor coming down to report this news to me. So I'm alone with my own unconscious mom, and he's going to tell me about how after that complicated heart surgery that she just had, she's very enthusiastically trying to create blood clots for herself, and that she's just suffered a stroke. They have to put her into a medically induced coma for a few days, and if she wakes up, she might not talk the same, she might have cognitive impairment, and she might lose use of her right arm. Now, nothing bad's ever happened to me, and I'm an optimist, but this was the worst week of my life in the summer of 2014. Spoiler alert, nobody died. My mom's fine. However, when you're in the heat of it and you have a doctor coming in just to you and telling you this intense news, you don't have a shoulder to cry on or like a hand to squeeze right next to you, it's pretty intense. So I visit my mom for about 4 days. She's just coming out of it. She's not there, she's asleep. I go and visit her. But I had other things to worry about because my best friend, one of my very best friends, up to this point, had basically been going through 2 solid years of what appeared to be suicidal alcoholism. And I was the co-captain in leading a very awkward attempt to get her to go to rehab. But we couldn't because we had to take her to the hospital. She was diagnosed with pancreatitis, which can lead to pancreatic cancer, and that can lead to kidney failure and death. So in 4 days, my mom almost dies, and I'm visiting my best friend in the hospital with pancreatitis, nearly died. And I'm thinking, force of nature, like calamity, can hit suddenly. It hit me like whatever your metaphor could be, a tidal wave, a tornado, an earthquake. It, like a force of nature does, comes and completely erases what up until that point was a certain permanence, whether it's a building or a redwood tree or a human being. So I'm dealing with that. And a couple days later, I go home, and the flood happens in front of me. And I walk down into my basement, and it's already a foot deep. And you guys know that meme on the internet, maybe you've seen it, the dog with the derby hat surrounded by fire. This is funny. I just started laughing because I had nothing left at that point. I was just numb. I wasn't sad or I wasn't panicked. I was just completely blocking everything out. But then I realized down there in my basement, in a 4 foot deep, 4 foot wide cardboard box, maybe an inch thin, very permeable to water seeping through, was just about every piece of my very valuable collection of Star Wars memorabilia. And it was completely washed away. And I realized it in the moment as I stepped down there. Meanwhile, I know back at the hospital are 2 of the most people I care about more than anything in my life, coming back from what was near death, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, it's all gone. There was a lot of other stuff. We lost a couch got completely soaked. Oh well, but I can just remember just sitting down on my basement steps, just freezing, and I could feel my 9-year-old self when it started that Star Wars obsession, kind of walking over to me and like putting a trauma blanket on me, and just walking me back like a paramedic man, like, it's gonna be okay. That was my stuff. It's okay. Just let it go. All right. Oh, okay. This is fine. It's all gone. But I don't know. It felt really liberating. It felt in an inexplicable way. Just like, oh man, that my favorite John Lennon lyric is in Imagine. Like, imagine there's no possessions, right? It's just, yeah, I gotta live by that. That's great. A couple days later, Mom wakes up and she's doing much better. She is fine to this day. She got a pacemaker. She, no cognitive impairment, nothing wrong with her speech. And my friend is 2.5 years sober. She's doing fine. But there was that couch that we had to get rid of. That couch that we moved in, the first thing we moved into this house, but we renovated the side door so we couldn't fit it. the side door and throw away this moldy couch. So my brother and I, we recently bought a sledgehammer from the hardware store. We had our iPhone on and we played Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer. And we broke the fuck out of that couch. And I gotta tell you, it was the single most cathartic experience of my entire life. And we all lived happily ever after. Thank you.
Keep it going for Jeff Milo, everyone. There was a brief moment when I decided on this theme, and I'm like, oh god, are these all going to be Ferndale flood stories? Because that was only like 4 years ago, but I think that was really beautiful. Thank you. Our next storyteller is an improviser and podcaster. Please welcome Shannon Kuhn.
Never know what to say about myself. I'm like, just say something. So when the topic of force of nature came up, I immediately thought of my friend Jess. Like, she's this short, muscular person, and her face looks like this combination of Uma Thurman and Meryl Streep. And she has like this crazy curly hair, and it has these streaks of gray in it, and they look like so well done. I think she did it herself on purpose. And she's the kind of person who would do that as a statement, be like, yes, I'm magical. I was like, I have to talk about Jess. And I met her because she was my massage therapist. And so I guess I should say, I like this too. How does it work? Okay, you did it. I did it. Yeah. Okay. So she was my massage therapist, and I do this thing where sometimes I meet a person and I instantly know we're gonna be friends. I just look at them and I'm like, oh, it's gonna happen. But the problem is then I start talking to that person. What did you say? I love you. Okay, and so then I start talking to this person as if we've been friends forever, because I'm like, it's gonna happen, I'm just cutting to the chase. And the problem is the other person is usually like, I don't know you. But it's only for a second, I swear, because then they love me and stuff. But I never really understood why that was weird, because I was like, it's just magic, it's fine. Until it happened to me, and it happened with Jess. And then I kind of got some perspective, which was helpful, because when you have this person massage your naked back with her, and she's like, you're looking down at her bare feet because she hates wearing shoes, and she's like, we're gonna be friends! You're like, yeah, that's a little odd. But I was also like, I found my fellow wackadoo. This is delightful. And I was like, she's a keeper. I like her a lot. And so Jess, she puts like this interesting spin on everything. Like, you never knew watching movies could be so much fun. Because not only does she like to put the subtitles on, but every one of those like sound words that comes on, she has to say. Sawing, running quickly, panting. It's delightful. She and a mutual friend, they went to the bar one time, and after a few hours, I get this text message asking if I either speak French or am willing to read subtitles in funny voices. Because they had decided that they were going to watch a zombie movie in French at 2 a.m. And I don't know where they got this movie or this idea, but that's Jess. You never know what's going to happen. And it's pretty delightful. And of course, then she's like, so I'll see you in 30 minutes. So, and when she talks in these memes and photos, but she never sends just one. And they have like nothing to do with each other. You get like these clusters of 4 or so, and you're just like, it's like she opened her brain to you, and you just get to ride it till it explodes. You're like, picture of Andy Dick and Tom Green dressed like each other. Roots talking about the wisdom of our ancestors. Sassy 1950s comic redubbed dog meat. And you're just like, where did these come from? This is amazing. And they're all in a row. There's no breath. They go within like 10 seconds of each other. And you're like, what? Do you just like keep these in your pocket? What are you doing? But then she even punks out her friends and in an interesting and little like the bar one time when we went out dancing, and this guy collectively hit on both of us at the same time. By the way, don't ever do that. Unless you're like Jesse Williams or Scarlett Johansson, the whole, hey, anyone here interested? Because I'm not picky. Approach is not going to work. So like, save your breath, your dignity, and don't be a cautionary tale, okay? So this guy hits on both of us, and he comes over and he's like, hey, you two sisters? And Jess, without like skipping a beat, tells him that she's my mom. Or, to use Jess's words exactly, nah, actually I'm her mom. I'm like 50. And she's like 5 years older than me. So but not only does this guy believe her, but then the two of them get in this little like powwow together. And we're talking amongst the dance noises, and I'm like, I didn't think she would like this guy. What's going on? And then the guy comes over to me, grabs my hand, and tries to pull me onto the dance floor. And when I ask him, like, what are you doing? He's like, your mom gave me permission to dance with you. And I look over at Jess, and she is cracking up. And I don't blame her because that was brilliant. Like, that was really good. But I wish I could explain better what it's like to have a friend like Jess. Like, she's the type of person who, if you ghost her for a year because you have depression, and that's just what depression does, you reach out to her and she cancels her date and asks you to name your place. I think it's pretty awesome. She's the type of person who wanted to come out tonight, but couldn't because she's taking a 7-week chakra course. And who, when you're making sloppy joes, she comes into the kitchen, she grabs the ketchup bottle like a bazooka, and she like expels the contents into the pan under tax siege. She's the type of person who at 10 o'clock at night messages you and says, go outside, it's Jupiter, you can see Jupiter. And I tried to tell her, I'm like, there's a tree in the way. Then move! But the best thing, one of the things that I find best about Jess is that she acts this way, even though we live in a world where if you see someone who acts carefree, you think that they actually are. But that's not the case. Everyone has problems. It's a choice. She opens her arms to the universe and she takes in as much joy as she can, even though there's things that try to knock her down and make her small, because she is a force of nature. And fake mom, I want to be like you when I grow up.
Thank you, Shannon. Our next storyteller, you met his brother earlier tonight. Please welcome Zach Zakar.
How's everyone doing? Well, tonight I'm going to be talking about 8 years ago, I came out of the closet, and I never thought I'd tell a room of strangers that I was gay, or, you know, I always thought I was going to be the one who was going to essentially, like, die and never tell anyone, live in the closet. And so I kind of considered myself a force of nature, because, like I said, I never thought I would be, like, confident enough to almost market that gay thing. I wrote a book about it, obviously, so buy it. But, I'm not gonna talk about it. So like I said, I consider myself a force of nature, but this like really isn't about me. It's about the lady who inspired my book, another force of nature in my life, my mother. Yeah, she's an interesting woman. We call her Amy. Yeah. Yeah, we all expect our mothers when we come out. I expected my mom to like hug me and like love me. That wasn't the case here. I'm Middle Eastern and I'm like gay, so it's like the winning the lottery twice, you know? If I'm not like to like media, I'm a terrorist, but if I'm not, then I'm like just this overly flamboyant like sex demon. Like it's the worst thing ever. I'm being labeled all the time, so yeah, it's a rough life. I mean, like, do we have anyone gay in here? Just me and Michael? Like, anyone? Okay, we got another one. We're taking over. like I said, the force of nature in my life is the woman who gave birth to me. She's this strong Iraqi woman. She like has a little bit of an accent. It's great. But when we came out, I expected like, you know, my mom to hug me or like kiss me. She kind of came downstairs. I didn't necessarily come out. She confronted me and she asked me one question. It was a very broad question. She goes, "Why are all your friends girls?" And I'm like, "I don't have any friends, so why are you questioning like my only friends are girls?" So I go, "Oh, I don't know, Mom. It's just, you know, she like just, it was a very broad question. I knew what she was like getting at." And she goes, "Are you?" And I'm like, "Well, I think so." And she's like, no. She like walks upstairs all dramatic, and I'm like, "Oh, fuck, I think I just came out." And I text Michael, I go, "She knows." And he knows what that meant. So he goes, "Okay, do it for me too." So I knew everything. Like Michael didn't even get to come out. Like, I came out for both of us. You know? So I go to the top of the stairs, I go, "Mom, Michael too." From the other room is, "Oh, motherfucker!" Okay, sorry, Mom, you won the lottery twice. So, you know, I was waiting for that hug. I was like, all right, she's gonna hug me. She's gonna come downstairs in like an hour and like, you know, just love me and embrace me. So she comes downstairs. I'm like, oh, here it comes. And she's like whispering in Arabic. I was like, oh, no, this is where I die. And she goes, like the Arabic language is really kind of gross. It's like phlegm is stuck in your throat, and she's walking towards me like, and I was like, oh shit, okay. And I was like watching this. I went to film school, so for me, like I was watching a horror film. And I was like, okay. And she like pulls something out of her pocket. I was like, oh, machete? Like, what is it? It's a bottle of holy water. And before I finish this part, this is what inspired my book, Pray the Gay Away. She takes the holy water, and she fucking douses me in it. And I'm like sitting there like a gremlin. I'm like, no, I was like, I almost like took it like a man. I was like, okay, I'm like wiping my eyes. I was like, right? And she like walks away. I was like, that was weird. No hug? Okay. So I thought, you know, that was my coming out. It was really awkward. And 2 weeks later, another chapter in my book formed. Me and Michael were at our sister's wedding. She got married, so my mom in her head, she's like, oh, you and Michael are next. You know, you're not gonna marry each other, but you're gonna marry women, hopefully. So we get home that night. She comes downstairs again. I was like, oh fuck, more holy water? Like, what is it? And she has a bowl this time. I'm like, great, she's gonna chop my body, but in beer, sorry. She's not gonna chop it. But she's whispering again in Arabic. She does this thing. She reads the Bible. Like that's like she knows it front to back. It's her only like book she reads, not my book. So she would read that. So she comes up to us, and she like sits on the edge of my bed. She like looks at me like she's gonna like murder me. She goes, I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay, like my mom is like a villain in my head, you know? And she pulls out a bowl of green grapes. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm hungry, you know? And I'm like, Mom, what's up? And before I can finish the question, she stuffs the green grape in my mouth. And Michael's watching, like, kind of horrified, but also like this is kind of great, you know? He's and she stuffs 3 green grapes in my mouth, and finally she's like, she pinned me to the bed, by the way. So my mom's a big woman. She like, yeah, she couldn't be like, I'm fucking yeah, love the woman, but yeah, my wrist was broken. I was like, please get off. And so she's forcing green grapes on me. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? And she goes, they're blessed from the priest. It's fine. I go, ooh, this force of nature. Okay, I was like, you're not gonna pray the gay away. It's not happening. So I asked her, I'm like, what's your, she just talk to the priest. It's, maybe he'll answer some questions. I'm like, there's stories in the news about priests, I'm good. Like, I think it's only gonna confirm my, new sexuality. So, the force of nature in my life is my mother, because she has turned me into the force of nature I am today. And I'm very proud of who I am. I'm gay, I'm Middle Eastern, the best of both worlds. And I'm proud of that, so that is my force of nature.
at a sad moment. We're at our last storyteller for tonight. Yeah. Before we get to that, I just want to let you know, first off, again, our next show is on June 14th. And tonight, after this show, is a show that you all are welcome to stay to for free. It's called Guess Who's Coming to Puppet Street. It starts at 10. And it is fantastic. So yeah, anyone here can get a free stay over. It's a love story between a human and a puppet. No spoilers really with that, but it's very good. So either way, however, let's get to our last storyteller. She is a writer and journalist. Her work has been published in The Atlantic, Salon, and The Times of London, among others. She is the author of the memoir Butter Babe, the story of a 40-stone woman living in a size zero world. She's working on a new book called Welcome to Detroit, which is set for completion next month. Please welcome Rebecca Golden.
So, sorry. I feel sort of like that shark that has to keep moving forward or it's going to die in a few weeks. And I think that a lot of us maybe feel this way about things that aren't really life or death. We have these kind of, I don't want to say natural forces inside us, but we are motivated a lot by things that are, feel like fight or flight, or hunger, or like real physical feelings. And I think we've mixed a lot of these things into the metaphors we use. Hearts will break, or our stomachs growl. And a lot of these things are just sort of, kind of made up, but they feel really real. And I kind of learned how that worked because I've been, trying hard to date. And it's kind of a weird adventure. I didn't date at all until I was 35, because at one point in my life I weighed about 600 pounds, and you don't really get a lot of offers, and they're not really from anyone you want to date. And I will say I didn't want to date fetish creeps, which isn't to say that if you have a fetish, you're a creep. But there's sort of this Venn diagram, creep and fetish, that combined in the sort of men who want to date you when you weigh about 600 pounds. Anyway, I lost a bunch of weight and I started dating, and I learned a lot of weird things about it, including that it really does sort of feel like you're dying if someone breaks up with you. And it happens a lot more often than you really think it's going to if you've watched any American movie made in, I don't know, the last 30, 40 years. You don't really meet cute. You always sort of meet on the internet. There aren't really dates. A guy just sort of shows up. And, that happy ending part where they move in or you move in, that doesn't really happen that much either, although I know it does happen. There's sort of empirical evidence, and there are people in this room who I think have experienced it, who may even be here with someone that they met on the internet or in person who stuck around. And I hear that's kind of cool too. But in the last year, I kind of ramped up the dating by sort of checking into the magic of Tinder. And yeah, I don't know. You go from not sleeping with anyone until you're 35 to a year where you sleep with 30 people. And I learned a few weird things. I keep feeling like I need to date, and I keep wanting to do that, and I keep really wanting to not want that very, very much. But you feel like you're supposed to get born and go to school and get a job and get married and have a house and have a life, and when places along that road are sort of closed or you have trouble getting into them, you feel like you're not doing any of it right. Or like you really might die if you don't, find that person or find that thing or find that job or find that next little thing that gets you, keeps you that shark that moves forward as opposed to the shark that dies on the beach. So I learned a few things too, like that men will want you to handle their 9mm, and I mean a gun. I do mean a gun. I've had at least 3 men hand me a gun because I don't know why. I've never owned a gun. I don't know what they're for. Well, I know what they're for. Pretty much for showing what a man you are, and I think also also killing and maybe defending your home from bears. Those are the 3 things, but I've been handed them a bunch. One guy handed me also a deer mount from the wall of his living room. He wanted me to hold the whole deer head with the antlers, and I did that. I don't know why. But I keep trying, and the things that seem the most like love, I think, are the hardest, where you don't meet the guy until you're meeting him the good way, the pure, holy way on OkCupid, which is so much less and dirty and filthy and sexually orientated than the truth. OkCupid is for love, because it has the name Cupid. But you meet Tinder-style men on that too, if you're, a straight woman of any kind, because, it's what we sometimes draw. And I did give my phone number to a guy from OkCupid, thinking this is the real dating site. And he only sent me one message, and it was sex? ? And that was when I decided, no, not really. This is the good dating site, and I don't feel like it. There was a recent thing on Facebook that made the rounds where this handsome, tall, rich guy decided to try to figure out what it would be like to be a lonely person, and he didn't see humans for a few days, and he learned some real surprising shit, like it's sad, and it doesn't feel good, and it's unpleasant. And Britain appointed a minister for loneliness, and it's considered this terrible social problem where it could impact your health, and you could actually maybe die because you're too lonely. But I still don't really want this anymore. I'd like to be happier being alone. I feel like there's forces inside us that tell us if you're hungry, you're starving to death. If you're in love and it's not quite reciprocated, parts of you will break. Are kind of dangerous. They let us live in this world of metaphor that we create as people. This sort of way that we allow ourselves, or some of us, to pretend that climate change isn't happening, or that we'll be raptured by Sky Daddy at any moment. All those things that we hold on to because we are all, sadly going to die at some point, for real. Not because we aren't loved enough. But I do keep trying. I think at this point, because it feels sometimes like connection, it feels sometimes like intimacy, and it feels sometimes just like a good Friday night. Not really gonna lie. Some things you learn are that sometimes I used to think that my body would be this huge problem, that no one would be attracted to it, but that's not it. It might be a deeper social problem because there are 30 or 40 guys who are kind of interested, very interested. And in the last year, and any number of them have been in their 20s, or early 30s, and I am 45. My official Tinder age is 39, so I'm not really lying on that much. And it's Tinder. We're not mating for life. You don't need to know about the viability of my fucking eggs. It's just a thing. I'm not at the airport. It's not the Handmaid's Tale. You don't need to know if my egg or fucking donated egg. My eggs are irrelevant to this. As I hope to stop wanting this, and maybe even just to stop wanting it so much, I feel like I'm just going to keep swiping a little bit for now. Mostly left, mostly left, mostly left. Guy with Confederate flag, dead deer, or Michigan, fish. And then occasionally, 27, 6'4", okay, sure. So I'm going to keep swiping, mostly left, and sometimes right, and sometimes just, straight on till morning. So, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Let's give one more round of applause for all the storytellers tonight. And give yourselves a round of applause as well. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you so much. Make sure, if you feel, you're welcome to have another drink or stay for the puppet show. Otherwise, drive safe. Thank you so much.